You are looking at the Lamborghini Aventador SV, the most insane car I've ever been able to bring you guys on this channel. And it's actually not as good as you might think. Now, there's a lot to talk about. Before you start leaving some negative comments, give me a second, give me a try, and you'll see what I mean. First things first, this car is quite high on the totem pole of Lamborghini. You have the Huracan, you have the Huracan Evo, the Huracan Evo Spider, the base Aventador, the Aventador S, and in front of us is the Aventador SV. We're gonna talk about what that even means, and well, one thing that does mean is it has a price tag of around $500,000. When there's cars like the C8 Corvette Z06, it makes you wonder, is this actually worth it? Look, we're gonna talk about the beauty of this car. Obviously, that's not to be ignored, but I'm also here to really focus on what this car has to offer. Is it actually a $500,000 driving experience? I mean, you can buy 5 C8 Z06s for the price of this, and your maintenance costs on a car like that is gonna be, I mean, not even half the price of what this thing costs. Just for a regular service, you're looking at around $8,000 on the Lamborghini Aventador SV. That's pretty insane. And again, is it worth it? Well, as promised, we are not going to ignore these looks. Lamborghinis, at least to me, in my opinion, are some of the most beautiful cars that exist. Yes, they are very, very flashy, and that normally comes with the opinion of just wanting to look rich or wanting to get a bunch of attention. But at the same time, the reason why this has that stigma to it is because it is that flashy. It does get that much attention. Now, because this is an Aventador, you have a bit of a different styled front end, and the most noticeable thing are these headlights. Anyone that knows Lamborghinis will know when they're looking at the front end of an Aventador over a Huracan. And in case you were wondering, yes, this thing is very, very low to the ground. However, it does have a front lift system, so if you're ever going over a speed bump or a big bump, you can just lift the front end up and it will automatically lower back down to its normal ride height if you go over about 30 miles an hour. So it is semi-practical, I guess. Now, take a look at the side of the Lamborghini Aventador SV, and honestly, take a look at the side of virtually any Lamborghini that exists. What is so amazing about these cars is it does not matter what angle you look at it from. It is just so cool. Probably one of the flashiest, coolest, most satisfying supercars to look at, which not all supercars have that. For example, I recently reviewed the Aston Martin DB12, and the front end was beautiful. The side was honestly a bit plain, but the back, there was something wrong with the back end of that car. This and any Lamborghini, you're likely not gonna have that problem. Now, I think you're gonna be surprised to learn that the tire widths in the front are only 255. This thing does have all-wheel drive, but just wait till you hear how fat the tires are in the back. In fact, it's actually a new record for this channel out of all the cars I've been able to drive and review. Paired with these tires, you're gonna have absolutely massive carbon ceramic brakes, which stop this thing well, but I gotta say, I'll wait for the drive. Now, on the side of the Aventador, you're gonna notice you can't see any door handles. Well, if you crouch down, there is a little tiny hole right here that you press, and that allows you to open the beautiful Lamborghini style doors. Don't worry, we'll go in the interior in just one second, because that is arguably even crazier than what you're seeing on the outside. Also on the side, you have a massive intake covered in carbon to feed air into the 6.5 liter naturally aspirated V12. More on that in a second. And moving along to the rear quarter panel of this car, I absolutely love the nice SV in orange. Guys, tell me what you think about this spec. This blue, orange, and black combination is absolutely insane. And that theme continues in the interior as well. Probably one of my favorite spec Aventadors I have ever seen, if you were to ask me. But let's talk about these tires. In the back, first of all, both front and back are gonna be Pilot Sport 4S's, but in the rear, this has 355s. The C8 Z06 has 345s, and I thought that was going to be the fattest tire I've ever seen. No, this said, nah, let's go 10 millimeters more. And the back end of this car is also so unbelievably complex. Lamborghinis, again, no matter where you look at the car, there are so many shifts in the body and so many angles just to give it that complex supercar look. Also, a paint-matched Lamborghini badge to continue that orange theme. A lot of carbon back here, which includes a massive carbon fiber spoiler as well. And also back here, you have a massive rear diffuser and dual tip exhausts. But these things are massive, and let me tell you, I have never heard anything as insane as this. Just wait. Now, I wish I could pop up this back end for you and show you the engine, but you actually can't do that. So all you get is the view from the glass. And by the way, this view is good enough for me. Under here is a 6.5 liter naturally aspirated V12 making 740 horsepower and just over 500 pound-feet of torque. This thing has a 0 to 60 time of around 2.8 seconds. And as for the red line in this thing, it is 8,500 RPM. What an absolutely brutal combination under here. Now, those numbers probably sounded insane, and again, you will hear more actually from the engine and exhaust itself as soon as we go for a drive, but I gotta say before we do that, the thing that really sets this car apart in terms of the driving experience is the 7-speed single clutch automatic transmission. The way this thing shifts gives you an experience that no other supercar does. I'll show you what I mean. All right, guys, I had to throw the GoPro on because my patience cannot handle this. We have to go for a drive. Now, I mean, everything from even getting into the car is just such an experience. Right under here, little cave, press the button and the doors go up. Aventador on the door sill. Full carbon fiber door with GT3 weight-saving style door handles. Let's go ahead and hop in this thing. Oh gosh, guys, the first thing you're gonna notice is you're basically sitting in a rock. This is the most uncomfortable car I have ever sat in by far, but you forgive it because the point of this car is the experience. And with that being said, let's start this thing up and talk about the experience. Flip that up, even though it was already flipped up, and let's press start. All right, you guys, first things first, you know you're working with a true supercar when it is hard to figure out how to even open the door or how to put the thing in drive. Seriously, put the average person in this car, they will not know how to do this stuff. And I can speak from experience because the first time I got in here, I got stuck. I did not know how to open the door. Turns out, I mean, who would have thought, guys? Come on. You push this thing down, you lift this up, and then you open the door, and that engine, that exhaust, oh my gosh, it is unbelievably loud. Now, to put this in drive, you'll notice there is no D, no gear lever, none of that. Instead, you release the parking brake and you just push in the paddle shifter and that puts it in gear. And well, let's go ahead and drive off and get to experience the Lamborghini Aventador SV. I actually just missed my turn, so let me show you guys the reverse camera while we're at it. Honestly, good enough. Like, after getting out of the Aston Martin DB12, that was much more uncomfortable to look at. Honestly, guys, the quality on here is pretty garbage, but at least you can see well, it's decently angled, and you can reverse without, well, too many worries. And I went to press drive, but just press the paddle shifter. Now, as you're driving your Lamborghini Aventador SV, you're going to want to hear as much sound as possible. So once again, you go to put the windows down and you realize there's no window button at all. Instead, it's over here. So everything with this car, and that seems to be the case with just most supercars, everything is in a different location than you're gonna be used to. And it takes some time to get comfortable, you know, with all the different locations and things that should be simple, but for some reason, car manufacturers like Lamborghini make it complex. And guys, I just don't know how well that's coming through on the audio, but just trust me when I say that is the most insane sound I have heard in my life. And it's not just the 6.5 liter naturally aspirated V12, but it's that single clutch transmission. I'm gonna go a wee bit slow here. Again, like things like that would be normally very concerning, but this thing actually does have just enough clearance to make it honestly not so worrisome driving this thing around. Now let's pause for just 1 second here, because I've been talking so much positive stuff. You're probably wondering, what were you saying at the beginning of this video? Well, guys, after driving, oh, those pops, oh my gosh. After driving the GT500 and the C8 Z06, what really sparked me to make the title of this video was my brother asking me, how does this feel compared to the C8 Corvette Z06? You're probably like, why are you even comparing this to an American car? This is a totally different realm. Well, the C8 Z06 gave me about just as satisfying of an experience as this. Now, I say about, and I emphasize the word about there. If there is a scale of 0 to 100% in terms of car excitement and satisfaction out of driving, and let's say this is 100%, this is the pinnacle of it, and something like you know, an old Toyota Corolla is like 5%. Well, the C8 Z06, in my personal opinion, brought that up to around 90%. The fact that this thing has the single clutch 7-speed automatic transmission in the V12, it brings it up to 100% for me, at least from what I know and what I've been able to experience with cars. And gosh, guys, it is so unbelievably noisy in here. The drama of this thing is insane. But seriously, the point I'm trying to make is, are you just getting diminishing returns? Like, if you're somebody that always wants more and you're never ever happy with what you have, I'm making this the point of this video, hopefully for you to realize that there's a certain point where just wanting more is seriously diminishing returns. If you have the money and you can just absolutely blow it and say, screw it, I'm gonna pick something up like this, then yes, this is a way more exciting, way more cool, it'll get a lot more attention than something like a, you know, an American C8 Z06 or GT500. But at the same time, you know, I don't see the point of owning a car that is already at that 90% level after you've finally been able to, you know, spend $120,000 on a car, but yet all you do is dream of something like this. That's the point I'm trying to make. But let me shut up about that, as we're about to go under some tunnels here, and let's come from the perspective of why you maybe should want to dream of spending $500,000 on a car of this caliber. You know we gotta roll the windows down for this. It shifts very quick too, by the way. I mean, I really don't know how to put that into words. There is no American car that gives you that experience. Only that will come from a naturally aspirated V12. That right there is what makes the $500,000 make sense. If you love car, oh gosh, guys, I am scared to drive this thing around, because this thing, it's $500,000. I mean, you scratch the wheel, you scratch the paint, you do any sort of damage on this car, and you're spending an unfathomable amount of money. So again, coming from the perspective of just being that rich, like one day, and I believe you guys will, hopefully I will myself, when we get that rich, it's like, yeah, then it honestly doesn't matter. You're not really worried about driving a car like this around, because if you scratch it, who cares? You just throw money at the problem. But you know, it's people who just spend a large percentage of their net worth to attain a car like this. It's like, gosh, I'd rather have something a bit more inexpensive for the opportunity to drive more carelessly and not really be worried about the car, let alone the $8,000 bill that comes when you have to do a freaking oil change on your car. That's insane. Now, another very notable thing with this car that is important to know when you drive one is the cooling system in this car cannot keep up with the engine. And so, I mean, just from driving 40 minutes straight earlier, I had the temps going into the red. So this is not a practical car whatsoever. And again, it adds to the point. It's like, well, you're sacrificing not only a lot of money, but a lot of other stuff as well to get a car that brings your satisfaction and excitement levels of driving up just an additional 5 or 10%, which makes me question, like, is a car of this caliber actually even my dream? Well, again, if I had unlimited money, yes, it is. I am picking this over any other car that is below, you know, $200,000-$300,000. The experience just doesn't compare to anything else. The shifts, the sound, again, the ride quality. You could complain about the ride quality, but it's built like this for a reason. It's like riding a roller coaster, right? You don't really want a smooth, boring roller coaster. You want a harsh, dramatic one when you're trying to have fun, and that's what it feels like. Even when you're going slow in this thing, you feel every bump, and every shift is just, again, it does not feel like any other transmission I've ever felt in my life. Back to the windows down just a tad here. I mean, that's true love. That's true love. Sure, it may not replace true love, like human to human, but my gosh, guys, seriously, it brings tears to your eyes. I mean, that is a must experience in everybody's life. Oh my gosh. That's why I love cars, because they just make you work hard. They make you make a lot of money, because, you know, having cars as a hobby is one of the most expensive hobbies you can choose. And I'm glad I chose it, because I would not be working as hard as I am today. And let's get on the brakes here. You know, I mentioned this earlier. The brakes are great, right? They're carbon ceramics. You know, and you got to give it some forgiveness considering it weighs 4,000 pounds. But I did an emergency stop earlier, and what's weird is as you get harder on the brake pedal, you expect sort of a substantially more amount of power. I'm not sure what that word I'm looking for is. A compounded more amount of braking power, if you will. But it sort of dies off the harder you press on the brake pedal in terms of the consistency of how much harder it's braking. And so I have definitely been in cars that brake better than this does, which is surprising to me, again, because this is $500,000. Again, I am not here saying it is not, those pops are insane. Not here saying it doesn't brake well. I just would have expected a bit more. And now when you put your Aventador into park, again, there's no P, there's no park button. Instead, you gotta put up the parking brake, and then you need to put it in neutral by pressing both paddle shifters. So again, very strange. I do like that though. It's cool, it's quirky, not necessarily inconvenient, but just another thing about a car of this caliber you have to get used to. And that concludes the drive and review of the Lamborghini Aventador SV. I would love to hear your guys' thoughts in the comments of this car. What do you think? Is this worth $500,000? There's so much to love about what that price tag gives you, but also so much to realize why need that, right? Although again, after going through that tunnel, I do realize why you would need this in your life. But nonetheless, guys, I appreciate you so much for watching. What an amazing car, what an amazing opportunity. Love y'all, and see you very, very soon in the next video. Peace out.